As we talked about insurance coverage before, because the plaintiff may have a very big case and the plaintiff's counsel want to make sure there's going to be a lot of coverage. The defendant is also worried about the protection from their insurance policy, especially if it's a low policy and perhaps they have other assets. Different states have different minimal insurance requirements, and it's always good for people to have plenty of insurance. It helps protect the defendants and it gives the plaintiff an adequate source of compensation. So it's important, as I mentioned briefly earlier, to ask the defendant about any other coverage that might apply to that accident. Also, if they had any umbrella insurance. An umbrella insurance might cover their liability in their property, whether it's a rental or they own a home, and also while driving. And it's always important to have, for anyone to have, especially professionals such as insurance people or anyone who has a house, important for them to have umbrella insurance. So let's say the plaintiff only had the defendant only had $100,000. The umbrella policy may provide $1 million or even $2 million of coverage. As I mentioned before, it's very important to find out if the defendant was in the course of their employment, because that may expose their employer to liability. And this is just a chart that shows what I mentioned. And it's important to find out if you represent the plaintiff. Sometimes you haven't done it earlier, but they may have extra supplemental coverage. So the defendant might only have a 10 or 25 policy, a very low policy, but if the plaintiff on their own insurance, or perhaps that of the owner of the car they're in, or someone in their household, or someone in that car, if they're a person, the owner or driver of that car, if they're a passenger, if they had extra supplemental insurance coverage, they want to convince the defendant to pay out that minimal policy so they can pursue a claim for the supplemental insurance. It's a little bit hard to understand, especially in this format, but you want to, if you're a plaintiff, you want to establish a picture to the insurance company who's going to be looking at their attorney's report that your injuries are worth far more than the policy. Your deposition is one chance to do that. As I mentioned, they're going to evaluate the injuries. They're going to also evaluate the credibility and the impact of this accident on the plaintiff. And that's going to be very important in the resolution or trial of the case.